Hey guys, this is Dan. I'm going to do a review today of the Simplicity pen kit that's sold by Lau Lau Pen Kits in Hawaii, and it's sourced through Dayacom. Let's take a look at what's in the bag. We have two brass tubes. One is a little bit longer than the other. The lower tube is just about 2 3/8 inches long, and the upper tube is 2 1/16, just a little shy of 2 1/16 inch long. You can easily get a pen out of a 5-inch wood blank or acrylic blank of your choice, or even a little bit shorter. We have a Parker style ink refill that's marked Dayacom on it, with the spring that's on the refill to start with. It's kind of standard stuff there. We have the nib piece. This is black titanium, this particular one. This kit is also available in chrome and gold titanium. This is a single solid piece, I believe. Can't be unscrewed, so keep that in mind. Also, we have the transmission here and the center band. They come together, but certainly will unscrew for assembly and to change the ink refill. This center band is beaded. It has a double bead design to it, and that's you may or may not like it on the style, but it enables you to get your turned pen blanks a little bit more room to breathe as far as being a perfect fit. Because of the bead, it can kind of tuck under there a little bit, and it won't really show if there's a problem. And of course the transmission, and these Dayacom transmissions tend to be pretty good in my experience. Then the clip is actually really, I think, really nice. Really a nice design. It's fairly substantial and solid. I'm going to show you the back. It's stamped Dayacom. You can see where the round piece for the top there is attached. Really nicely plated, all of this is, and like I said, I really like the clip for the top. It's got the little insert that presses into the top of the pen, and then the little finial top piece that's got a little bevel to it on top, and then it's got a threaded post that screws down in over the clip. What's nice about this is that you can adjust the clip at any time you want. You can loosen that up and you can move the clip around. If you're not happy where it's at after you assemble the pen, you can always do that later. I also have a chrome kit here. Just want to show you what that looks like. I'm not a big fan of the titanium gold. It's a great quality plating. I just don't like gold that much, so I didn't purchase the gold option. But I have both the black titanium and the chrome, and the plating quality is just really great, as well as I think the style, and they both look good. I use mostly the black titanium, but I like to make a few of the chrome as well. I want to show you a few of these pens that I've made. It's really become one of my favorites, and so I made a bunch of them in a lot of different woods. I make mostly wood pens overall, but also it looks really nice with other materials. Here's a nice blue with black resin pen with chrome that came out really nicely as well. Really pleased with these overall. Almost every wood that I've put on it I've really liked. There's a cocobolo. I've done all kinds of burls and things with them. I want to share a couple things about making this pen that you'll need to be aware of. One is that the way that the transmission is, it's really important that you don't over trim this bottom tube as you're preparing to turn it. If you trim it down too much into the brass tube, then the ink will stick out too far on the bottom. It's common for a lot of these pens, but just wanted you to note that. The top is not as critical. You could over trim that a little bit, not that you'd want to, but it would be just fine. And like I said, you can loosen the top and move the clip if you want it somewhere other than where it ends up. I didn't order the bushings that come with these. I believe it's a 3-piece bushing kit because I have a set from another pen from this supplier, and it's one of the 3-piece ones where it's got the double size in the middle. And I turn between centers, so I don't like that too much. If you turn on a mandrel, it'll be just fine if you turn the whole pen at one time. But for the sizes, and I'll put the sizes in the description below as well as where you can order this kit if you're interested in it. But the center band has the same size bushing for either side, and then the top is the same size bushing as the center band as well. It's only the nib that's a different size bushing, and I actually had some custom turn between centers bushings made for this pen because I like to make them quite a bit, and so he made me a 3-piece set that these are the same bushing, and this is one is a little bit smaller. So one thing to note when you're assembling this pen is that there's nothing on the bottom of the top tube, sort of like a slimline. How when you assemble a slimline, there's no metal components to go on the bottom of the top blank. So when you assemble it, the nib part and the coupler, the center band coupler that the transmission screws into, will screw together there, and then on top, all that goes on is the clip with the top piece there. So I don't love that there's no metal component support on the bottom of the top tube, but I don't know how they would get around that. It's not a big deal, just something to make note of. Also, the top tube is extremely tight onto the transmission, to the point where with a lot of these I've had to press it on rather than, sometimes if you're strong, you can kind of muscle the two pieces together. But it's not something that every customer, every person that you give or purchases this pen is going to be able to pull this apart to change the ink refill. So what I recommend, in the absence of instructions on the site, which I think is the way that you're probably supposed to do it, is to unscrew it, leaving the transmission in the top, so that stays in, and then you can easily pull out your refill to change it there. This is a double twist transmission, and it works well, but just be aware that it's different than a pen like the Cigar, where you can just pull it in half very easily, or even a slimline. I would recommend that you suggest to people that are purchasing, or you give the pen, to unscrew the middle rather than try to pull it apart. I think will be a lot better result. So a pretty straightforward pen. I just wanted to make you aware of that note. I want to compare this to some other pens for you as well. But there's really no secrets with the turning. There's nothing special that needs to happen. There's no extra tenons to cut or anything like that. It's basically just turn to the bushings. I like to not make my pens really fat. Some of them have a little bit more of a round than others, but it's a good pen to be relatively straightforward. One of the things that I like about it is it's a little bit smaller than some of the other Parker style pens like the Cigar. I'll show you in just a minute. This takes an O bit, and by the way, the drill bits that are sold by Lau Lau are really good Norseman drill bits. So if you don't have a bit for a particular size, I really recommend those as well. But it's the O bit, which I think is something like 8.2 millimeters. So you could probably get away with using an 8 millimeter bit, but I used the O bit for this, and it worked just fine. And it's the same size drill bit for both tubes. Let's compare it to a slimline. This is one of the first pens I ever made, and not really proud of it, but I don't make slimlines very much anymore. But I recognize that a lot of people like a slender pen, and so this is definitely, the simplicity is definitely not as small as a slimline, but I think it gets towards that angle. And I feel like it's been actually really well liked by customers, and it's a pen that can retail, I think, for quite a bit more money than the slimline sells for. But here's a size sort of lineup for you to see. The simplicity is definitely thicker and a little bit longer than a slimline pen. Here's a Tetra stylus that also takes a Parker. It's a little bit maybe thinner than the Simplicity. It's about as thin as I've seen, except for the Tiny Giant, which is a whole different sort of pen. Here's a long boy that I did a review on just recently as well. In the same ballpark, the long boy is a little bit thicker. It takes a 10mm tube. It's a thicker pen than the Simplicity. Then the Cigar, which is also one of my favorites, you can see is quite a bit thicker than the Simplicity. So I see this as a pen. I've actually sold quite a few to men, but it's a good maybe option for a woman as well, being a little bit more slender of a pen. It is 5.5 inches long, finished, and it really shows off, I think, your blank material very nicely. And so I really I like this pen. Like I said, I've sold some already, and as far as I'm aware, the only place to get these is from Lao Lao Pen Kits, and I'll have the link in the description to where you can buy them. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this, then please subscribe. Thank you, and have a great day.